Now. Can you hear us now? I'm really hoping they can hear us. Did you hear the intro? Is this a stream thing or is this a microphone thing?
We'll find out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
So,
excellent. Thank you, Shelby.
Cool.
I mean, there have been Oh. Okay.
So we're not sucking as bad as we thought.
Okay. So I'm gonna start the intro over. Welcome to whatever this fever dream is. I say fever dream because I am currently running a fever of over 100 degrees and I might fall asleep at any moment. Welcome to Bad Astra, where our planned science storytime baking special has been postponed due to COVID-19. So we're gonna have a fun, socially distanced stream with Eris zooming in, where we'll revisit the COVID-19 vaccines videos we released over a year ago. Honestly, when we first were doing that, I was so worried that we would be late to the game because it was taking me an extra long time to research. And I was like, oh no, this isn't going to be out until March or April. What if it's not relevant by the time it comes out? Well, it's been a year and it's still just a little too relevant. Kind of annoyed by that. On this stream, we're also going to discuss our personal experiences with the COVID-19 vaccines, welcome input and personal stories from every one of you lovely people in the chat. And Eris is going to help us determine which preventable diseases are which horror movie tropes, because apparently anti-vaxxers aren't scared enough of diseases that kill people.
Yeah, we really got to up the fear factor of a lot of these illnesses, because apparently the horrifying symptoms are just not enough.
Yeah. Also, disclaimer, this will not be a safe space for anti-vaxxers or COVID-19 deniers, and we're not going to be debating. So if you're an anti-vaxxer, just keep...
This is a very safe space.
Keep that to yourself.
Put them in the comments. Let us roast you.
Yeah, it's just not a safe space. We welcome...
It's an actively hostile space.
Yes. It is a space, but it's just not safe. Okay, let's say hello.
It's one of those situations where you go into a witchy Facebook group as an evangelical Christian, and you're like, I'm here to save your souls, and they're like, bet you are.
That's a part of Facebook I have never experienced, and I think I'm going to keep it that way. So, let's say hello to the chat. Hey! Pluto patron Marcia is here. Hello, Marcia. Robert Williams, it is always good to see you in the chat. According to Robert Williams, much like global warming, vaccines just don't exist, so... Joe, hello. Nice to see you in the chat. Shelby, welcome back to the chat. It looks like there was someone who hopped off, I thought. And Rupert Cow, it's... The fake COVID denial is just really... As someone who currently has extra COVID, it's funny to see.
Well, I'm sorry you couldn't share with me and break the Bad Astra COVID streak, but I am still going strong without COVID. Oh, Queen Cleo decided to show up in the stream.
Oh, kitty. What a cutie. Oh my God.
I actually need to get her vaccines taken care of.
Yeah, Cece just got re-upped on all 5 of her vaccines, so just saying, Cece's immune system is way more fearsome than Cece right now, who's currently sleeping. Oh my God. Sorry, your cattail mustache is amazing.
Meanwhile, we're in the chat talking about COVID, and Shelby's like, yeah, I have a really like personal deep story as my cat's making a mustache. I'm so sorry, Shelby, for making
Shelby
deciding
says,
for comedy.
yeah, Shelby says, my mom has lupus and caught COVID. Her specialist said if she wasn't vaccinated, she would have died. I have too many COVID stories. Luckily, I haven't gotten it. Yes, knock on wood for Shelby as well, because, oh, Anton Wild says hi to Cleo. Yes,
Yay, Cleo.
I definitely hope that nobody in the chat gets COVID. We'll talk about why getting COVID while you're vaccinated is way less bad than getting COVID while unvaccinated, even if you don't have lupus, but especially if you have pre-existing conditions. I should probably introduce, I have a lot of, so I actually have a lot of housekeeping to get through. I'm supposed to promote other stuff on the stream, not just chat. So welcome to Bad Astra, where we learn, for those of you who are new, we learn about science here with more costume changes than math. I'm Astra. I have a BA in physics and theater and a master's degree in mechanical engineering. My wife, Nova, is the smart one, and she is in the home stretch of her PhD in astrophysics. She double checks a lot of our physics and astronomy, but, quote, cannot be held accountable for anything squishy like chemistry or biology. Our main content is written by Eris, a sarcastic...
I'm literate.
A sarcastic witch with occasional bouts of productivity, including today. If you like...
Had a good brain day!
Yeah. If you like makeup tutorials, this is completely different, but you should subscribe anyway.
Maybe I'll come out with a makeup tutorial. How to look like a witch who knows what she's doing.
Speaking of Eris's productivity, coming up we have videos about the standard model. She just finished the first draft of that script today. I have to read it.
It's so feral. It is so wild. Honestly, I was telling Astra before the stream that I'm pretty confident this is like the wildest, most chaotic, most just like all over the place video that I have ever written a script for. And she was like, what do you mean?
Our second video is a dominatrix explaining nuclear physics to a housewife in the middle of a divorce. And yes, of course they end up together, duh. And this is more ridiculous than that.
My middle school fan fiction days just came out.
Oh no.
And just was like, this is the script, and I had to go, yes, ma'am, yes, 10-year-old Rory, like, go for it.
So in that script, we are going to learn all about quantum mechanics and answer the very important questions, like what Star Trek character is which elementary particle? We are also at some point going to do a video about evolution, specifically how fearsome wolves became precious golden doodles. It says in the script that I'm supposed to show off Cece, but she's currently asleep on Nova, and I just don't want to bother her, because truly, how dare.
I'm sure she'll make an appearance.
Yeah. So I have a technology update. You might all be wondering, is this a live stream channel now? So what happened to our clean, edited, well-researched science videos that got you all excited in the first place? Did I somehow lose my ability to edit videos? Well, yes. For the past year and a half, I've been editing our videos using Final Cut on a 2017 MacBook Air. That laptop, originally purchased for storing vacation photos, allowing for internet browsing outside of working hours, and making occasional iMovie vacation slideshows, in spring of 2020 suddenly became a workhorse used for my full-time job, then in fall 2020 started getting used for this channel. This 5-year-old base-level MacBook Air lasted, honestly, a lot longer than I expected given the abuse I put it through, but sadly it got very slow, very crash-prone, and it crossed the rainbow bridge beyond being able to effectively use it in February. And since,
now it's on a nice farm.
Yeah. A nice farm at the Apple trade-in. It's just in the Apple Store, living out its retirement.
My background is where all of the laptops go to live out their glory days after they pass the Rainbow Bridge.
All of the base level MacBook Airs after 5 years just go there. It's a retirement community. Yeah.
The cows need them up there.
Anyway, March was the wedding, so I didn't have time to replace this laptop until last week. 2 trips to the Apple Store later, and I now have no money, but a new mid-level MacBook Pro, and we plan to restart production very soon because Eris has the script. I can now edit videos, and you know what? We're going to write all of this off as a Bad Astra business expense. So I'm just not going to pay taxes next year.
Hell yes. Let's not pay taxes. I'm kidding. Please pay your taxes. It's really important.
Everybody pay your taxes. I just filed my taxes and Bad Astra almost broke even. Almost. We were $35 short because I spend way too much money on costumes. Next year we're just, it's not going to happen. I spent $4,000 on this new laptop. But things are going well. Let's say, oh yeah, Shelby and Marcia both want your makeup tutorial, Eris.
Mine are, I thought it was Nova's.
Oh,
Marcia
Nova's.
specifically said Nova.
Yep, okay. Honestly, we should do a video where you both do my makeup. And
do like a half and half?
Yes. Half of my face is Nova and the other half is Eris. And but you both have to deal with me as your subject. So I'm going to be getting up for snacks, constantly moving, complaining about how it's taking too long, that kind of thing.
I mean, I can do a heavy makeup look in 15 minutes. So okay.
I would love to
I'm a
see
pro.
If given only 15 minutes, what Nova would do to my face.
We could do it. We could make the timed video and then we can talk about the science of makeup and how they create face safe dyes and coloring.
I've done your makeup in 15 minutes. Have you? I think so. I don't think you've done my makeup in 15 minutes. The last time you did my makeup, it took 2 hours.
I remember you made me do it for something.
Oh, it was for something Bad Astra, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I feel like that doesn't count because that was that. Okay, yeah, you could do my makeup. Okay, she could do it.
It's not very good, but I can do it.
Homer Simpson's makeup gun. Oh, makeup by Noveris. These are really funny video titles.
Honestly, Noveris is a great makeup brand name. We're taking it. I don't care if Norvina from Anastasia Beverly Hills throws a fit. That is our makeup brand.
Okay, so Robert Williams says if it's slash fiction and it's using TOS, I just picture Kirk as a neutron, McCoy as an electron, and Spock as a proton, and they all go into Kirk's cabin to make some atoms. Okay, so close. Kirk is actually the electron.
Don't spoil it.
Spock and McCoy are up and down quarks respectively. Yes, those 3 make atoms. I'm actually quite surprised at how close Robert Williams was with that.
Yeah, I'm very impressed too.
I feel like he knows our channel just a little too well.
Honestly, our viewers are very smart.
Oh no. Joe, I'm so sorry that my red hair looks brown due to this lighting.
COVID drained it.
What?
COVID drained it of its color. It's all mine now.
So here's the thing. I have a lot of ring light going on back here because if I let natural light come on my face, I look like I died about a week ago and just forgot to be still, which totally tracks.
That's my normal look.
Yeah, there's some deathly pallor going on here, and this light and some fun tricks. Yeah, you do not want to see without this ring light because oh boy, this stream becomes very haunted very quickly.
Well, this is the stream for it if we're going to be talking about horror icons as diseases.
Oh my god, I might, once we get to that part, I'll turn it off. I'll turn the ring light off and we can all just be like, Astra, no, you died. Before we get into the science, I also have to, this is my platform and you're all a reasonably captive audience, so I have to give a CC pup date. This is not at all relevant to the channel, but I'm just celebrating because Cece passed her Canine Good Citizen Advanced, or the Community Canine Good Citizen, her Urban Canine Good Citizen, and her Trick Dog Intermediate test last week, which means she's an AKC officially certified good girl with people, in public, and in the city. It also proves that I spend about as much time teaching her silly tricks as I do working on this channel. Like, my time is pretty much like 1/4 actual work, 10% sleep, like a good, like, 10% just hiking, just being in the woods. And then the rest is split evenly between, like, Bad Astra and teaching Cece how to close a drawer. She also knows how to open a drawer, which was a poor choice to teach her, but I did it anyway. And she has a piece of paper saying that she can open a drawer. Yeah. So, oh my God, Cleo.
My background is messing her up.
Oh no, it's like a ghost kitty. Oh,
My cute little ghost kitty.
Oh, she's so cute.
She, honestly, when I had her like sitting on my lap while you were talking, I was like, wow, she looks like she hates everyone, which is correct.
Yeah, I'm like, she's just not misleading you.
Yeah, exactly. Though you two met and she didn't bite you, which is a major step forward.
She sniffed me once, flicked her tail into her little periscope, and walked away. She determined I was not a threat, but also not worth her time. Which I will take. I'll take it. She didn't bite me. That's all I get.
I mean, we'll see how she deals with Cece when you come to visit.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Cece was giving you COVID tests. I should clarify for everyone watching, a COVID test.
All of them were negative for me.
Yeah, a COVID test.
Unlike Nova and Astra.
Yeah, a COVID test normally is when you stick a little stick up your nose to see if you have COVID. A COVID test from Cece is not always consensual. It's just Cece sticking her tongue up your nose repeatedly, very aggressively. It is how I wake up most mornings. Just dog tongue right up the nose. It's like unconscious to very awake immediately. Anyway, if you want to see more of Cece, you can follow her at Cece's TV. I'll put that in the chat. I'm just gonna quickly plug my dogs.
Put Cleo's Instagram in the chat, y'all.
Yeah, put Cleo's Instagram in the chat. You should also follow Queen Cleopatra of Denial. She's
a little tyrant.
Her Instagram, though, is so cute. Cece follows Cleo on Instagram.
I think Cleo also follows Cece, especially with that dragon edit. Like, that's fantastic.
Yeah, Nova and I were stuck on a plane, and I had a picture of Cece yawning, and we may have photoshopped her as a dragon breathing fire on the top of a mountain here. I will hold that up to the Zoom. Basically, if you want to see just absolute nonsense, like, oh no.
There we go.
If you want to see absolute nonsense like this, follow Cece on Instagram.
I love how we have not even gotten to the COVID stuff yet. It's just like, we're talking about our pets.
I feel like we should set the scene and really get people in that pandemic isolation mindset. Like, just a lot of stupid.
All right. Joe's asking, So he says, let me know when you want my COVID-19 story. So maybe we should get on to that topic.
Yes, let's get on to that topic. Okay. So until Monday, Nova and I had spent the pandemic COVID-free. We took isolation seriously. We required vaccines and boosters to attend our wedding. And I and Nova still wear masks indoors in public, despite the mask mandate dropping in Chicago. After our wedding, we did, however, agree to start relaxing our own rules. So we started eating indoors, obviously unmasked because you're eating. We started seeing people regularly in small groups, but still unmasked. And within a month of that, we got COVID.
Woo!
Luckily, we were testing before all large gatherings, and everyone who we saw within a few days of testing positive tested negative. Oh my God, making those calls, the hi, I have bad news, I tested positive for COVID, you're gonna need to test. It really, you know those like sitcoms where you have to like call all of your prior sexual partners, except it's everyone you've had contact with in the last few days.
What are you watching?
Yeah, my childhood was weird, I guess. I just watched a lot of that 70s show.
Oh, yeah, I didn't watch that one at all.
So they all tested negative, so we most likely didn't get anyone else sick. I'm really glad we tested since I was actually going to a large family gathering yesterday. And because we tested positive, well, because Nova tested positive, and I had a feeling which way the wind was blowing, we canceled, and I am very glad that I didn't get any of them sick. I am not about to be a super spreader. So, a little bit of vocab. I'm sure you all know this, but we're gonna go through it because I want this stream to be accessible to people who aren't following every little piece of news, like I am, hanging on it. Doom scrolling.
I'm not following the news.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm surprised you're the one who got COVID between the two of us, since like I've been much more relaxed about my masks when the mask mandates go up and down or like wherever it's at. More recently, I've just been like having my mask on more frequently indoors. But like I know before your wedding, in February, I was at a Marina concert with my friend Lauren, and we were both wearing like we were both masked up. It was super intense, and then like everyone around us was not masked, or if they were, they had like a beer in their hand and they were like, "See, I'm drinking, so I don't need to wear my mask." And I was like, "This is horrifying." And then as we were leaving the theater, like packed like sardines trying to get out, I hear a lady behind me say, "Oh yeah, I'm so glad I came even though I was feeling a little bit sick." And I was just like, "Ma'am, what
Ma'am?
are you doing?" Yeah, so like I've been much more relaxed about COVID, and I have had 2 scares. One after I came back from these beautiful mountains in Virginia, where I was sitting next to a person who was positive for COVID during a 5-hour drive. Or no, it was like 7 hours at least, while she was like sitting right next to me, and we were like working on the film together. So like we were in close contact. And then the second time was during the holidays. Sam and I went to a holiday party, and one of the people that was hosting tested positive. Her other roommates didn't. So we are in the middle of nowhere with no cell signal on our vacation in Michigan. And I think he just had enough signal to get the text message from his friend being like, "Hey, you both need to test." Luckily, we were like in no contact with anybody. It was like wilderness. We were not talking to anybody, seeing anybody. We were like by ourselves. But so he had enough signal to get text messages. I had enough signal to send text messages. So what was happening was like he would receive a message from his friend, and then I would text her from my phone the response. But neither of us had COVID. We both took tests immediately when we got back to Chicago. We're not around anybody. Waited for the results, and
Nice.
yeah, I have not had COVID.
Yeah, and it looks like people in the chat are following that. Robert Williams says he still wears N95s anywhere indoors with large amounts of people, especially at cons, which is really good practice. But sometimes your wife goes to work at a coffee shop and just stays there working, using the Wi-Fi for like several hours, and gets what's called a breakthrough infection, or getting COVID-19 despite being vaccinated and boosted. Breakthrough infections used to be very rare. We're talking a 1 in 5,000 chance. They became more common with the Delta variant, up to a 1 in 100 chance. Then Omicron happened, and now like everyone's getting breakthroughs. Yay! Isn't it great?
Well, I did just get an email from the county that we live in, and they've started announcing that people over 50 and people 18 and up with prior conditions can now get their second booster.
Yep.
Which is super exciting that
Yeah.
we have another round of boosters that'll hopefully help. I know I'm signing up as soon as I can to get another booster just in case. But yeah, so like that's some good progress that like we are getting okayed for more boosters at this point, especially since, you know, breakthrough cases have been happening so much more frequently.
I want to stress that the presence of breakthrough cases does not mean that vaccines and boosters aren't working.
I'm proof that they are.
People who are fully vaccinated and boosted still have a much, much, much lower chance of any severe symptoms, hospitalization, or death. And that's because the vaccine trains your body in how to more effectively fight the virus. As Shelby's mom learned, like the vaccine definitely reduces what the virus can do to your body.
So Robert is asking, when you had your breakthrough, did you jump out of the tub and run naked screaming Eureka?
You know, that is actually exactly what Nova did. How did you know? And really, we should probably contact all of the people that kind of stared at Nova just streaking down Main Street. 'Cause like she probably coughed on a few of them.
Ridiculous.
Oh no. Apparently STST, former flat earther, has COVID-19. Honestly, I would not wish COVID-19 on anyone, so I'm very sorry about STST. But let's talk about what it's like to get COVID-19 after being vaccinated and boosted. I'm going to share our stories and a bunch of statistics. And
I can't share my story because I haven't had one yet.
Eris is still undefeated. So I'm going to share our stories just peppered with statistics because I did some research into science communication because that's what this channel is ostensibly for. And despite the fact that anecdotal evidence isn't science and is not as reliable as data and statistics, it is a lot better at convincing people of a thing. Like if you want to convince people that getting the vaccine is a good thing, it is actually more effective to tell them about your own experiences than sharing a bunch of statistics. So I'm just gonna do both. So let's talk about what it's like to get COVID-19 after being vaccinated and boosted. This is our own experience. It's the first time either of us has tested positive. Like we made it through Omicron. It's not science. So I'm just gonna present this, and if you want more statistics, Google is so easy. It's so easy to Google. This is just going to be a chat about why we personally are glad we wore masks, isolated, got vaccinated, and are now isolating from our loved ones. This is also the time to start sharing your stories in the chat. I will read them. Eris will read them as soon as I'm done with this. So After Nova tested positive, very faint line, by the way, just a little pregnant, I still tested negative for 2 days, despite constant exposure, as I took care of and continued sleeping next to my sick wife. And yes, that is a stupid risk. It is also my personal decision to make, as I was literally testing daily and canceling all plans to see people. Taking stupid risks is very on brand for me. I still give myself food poisoning multiple times a year. Recently fell 30 feet down a mountain while snow hiking with CC on my back in January and still made it to the summit. Also, our maid of honor said during her toast that without Nova, I'd probably be dead right now. So yes, it's risky, and I just took that risk. But even with Omicron, a breakthrough infection is not guaranteed. Vaccines still have a 68% effectiveness against COVID, against getting COVID, based on the New York State breakthrough COVID-19 data. Now, that is down from 93% a year ago due to the new variants, but it is still much better than nothing. But what if you do get a breakthrough infection, like Nova and, as of yesterday, me? So Nova and I are both positive and symptomatic. I became symptomatic about 24 hours after she tested positive, and I tested positive around 48 hours later. I was just testing every 24 hours, so it could have been 36 hours. I don't have unlimited tests. That was within the isolation period, or that was within the incubation period. So if I had immediately isolated myself from her, I still would have gotten sick. And then who would have made her food and made sure she was okay? Nova is just feeling like she has a nasty cold. I feel a bit congested, although my fatigue is pretty bad. It's coming in waves, and unlike Nova, I also have a fever. I've just kind of been passing out randomly all the past few days. It's not great.
Maybe that's why I have energy and motivation today. I just sucked it out of you from a distance from COVID.
Well, we joke that whenever I go into the woods, you get really motivated, and I'm not out of the woods yet.
Boo.
I can make
jokes.
It's
strange how we both sync up like that.
Honestly, were this the before times, we would both be at work powering through with Advil, caffeine, and tea. I have many times felt worse than this and still just gone to work with Advil and tea and an overcoat.
Yay, capitalism.
Yay. Currently, we are working from home and powering through with Advil, caffeine, and tea. I get yearly sinus infections worse than this, and Nova got a stomach bug way worse than this just a few months ago. So,
from what it sounds like, you guys are doing, or y'all are doing better than I was during Halloween when I was puking my guts out with a really intense fever, which was really sad. Because I went to the Halloween party and Sam came over and was like, here's a bunch of ice cream and stuff to help. Meanwhile, I'm just hobbled over, thank you for coming, but please also leave so that I don't give you this.
Yeah.
That sounds, it sounds like I should have gotten COVID instead of that. It would have been nicer.
Yeah, I'm actually doing a lot better than I was doing on Halloween. Because remember how I blew out a candle wrong and gave myself chemical conjunctivitis?
I totally forgot you did that.
I could not open my eye without pain.
This entire stream has just been you telling stories where I'm just how am I more responsible than you?
Yeah.
I'm the chaos gremlin of the channel. What's happening?
I channel all of my focus and productivity into my real job and this, and the rest of my life is just absolute chaos. You've heard my hiking stories. It's nuts. Does the fact that we are having very light symptoms mean that COVID fears were unfounded, overblown? It's basically a flu. No. This means the vaccine works. The boosters work. Our immune systems have been trained for this virus. 3 shots of Pfizer each, and our bodies are far more prepared to keep us healthy. We're not alone. Vaccines still have an estimated 89% effectiveness against hospitalizations, also based on the New York State breakthrough COVID-19 data. Importantly, this is a thing that gets glossed over a lot, but I want to talk about it. Nova and I didn't get a bunch of other people sick. Again, we reached out to everyone we saw the 3 days prior to her positive test, and every single one of them tested negative. Only the person with near constant close contact to Nova, me, also got sick. And the data shows us that even when people are infected and test positive, fully vaccinated people shed less virus and are less likely to spread the virus to other people. The vast majority of transmission of COVID-19 is between and from unvaccinated people. Obviously, we're currently isolating, but because she's vaccinated, Nova wasn't a super spreader unknowingly. Throughout the past couple years, that's been our biggest worry. Not us getting sick. We're young, otherwise healthy, and not immunocompromised. Our worry, and the worry of a lot of people in our demographic, has always been getting someone else sick. And because we're both vaccinated and isolating, the virus stopped with us. So with that, let's check in on the chat and see all of your COVID stories. Eris, do you want to read one, and then I'll take one, and then you take one?
Yeah, sure. So the one that I saw from Joe H right now, he mentioned that they caught it pre-vax, which sucks. And he says after the bathroom issues, it was like a cold for 5 weeks, no fever, and Debbie never caught it, I assume, from Joe. So that's good, but also like, yikes. Joe, would you say that your experience was better than most? Worse? Like, were you, okay, so you were smart, quit smoking 5 years earlier, which probably really helped with a lot of the respiratory symptoms. So yeah, like, congratulations on surviving COVID.
Also,
I don't have my story yet still, just friendly reminder.
Also, that's another stark difference between pre-vax. That's a cold for 5 weeks, which
that
is
sounds miserable.
way, way worse than just a few days.
So you know the Dunning-Kruger bell curve that like spikes up and then goes back down, like, and then steadily climbs? So imagine that bell curve. That is a pretty accurate representation of how much I will complain based on how much pain I'm in. The maximum that I will complain is when I am slightly inconvenienced. Like, I will tell you how it sucks and I feel really bad, but as soon as I get something super severe, I'm like, no, I'll live. Don't worry about me. I got it. I've got meds. As I'm like shivering and suffering and can't stand up.
Yeah, I guess with COVID, I'm kind of like down here, but then as I experience more pain, like say like, I don't know, like halfway up, like food, like here's COVID, here's like food poisoning, here's like my flight got canceled and they've lost my bags and I'm trapped in Canada for 48 hours. Like, definitely COVID is like way, way less bad. What would you say is like the inconvenience that makes you the most upset, like the most complainy?
Just like inconvenience in general, or specifically like physical symptoms? Since like you've seen my enraged messages to you when Mothman emails me. That is like a level of rage that I absolutely am very vocal about, but like at the end of the day, physically it doesn't hurt me other than the sheer amount of rage trying to be contained in my little body. It's been a while since I've harbored that much rage.
Oh yeah. I got a few other Mothman related messages today. We can talk offline about that.
Yes, please update me on Mothman and how much of a nightmare they are. Anyway, so in terms of physical symptoms, I would say the worst that I get is like, you know, because I'm a Virgo and Virgo rules the intestines, like anything that has to do with like my digestional tract, I'm like, no, I hate this. I hate this so much. Also, if I cannot like sit up straight because of the pain I'm in, that's a no-go. I hate it. And yes, Robert, I did just say Mothman.
We don't talk about Mothman, except that we do talk about Mothman. Robert also says, I point out people need to, something we need to consider is that starting around the time of the 1918 flu, there was the pandemic of encephalitis lethargica that ended like 6 years after the flu with no identified cause. And with COVID, they've identified signs of brain damage in lots of people that have had it.
How deeply comforting. Thank you for that fun fact.
As someone who has extra bonus COVID, and I want to describe the COVID tests because as we know, one line means not COVID, two lines means pregnant. When Nova took the test, she had a very, very faint second line. Like it was definitely positive, but she had to squint to see it. So we talked about how she was only a little pregnant. When I got my positive test, not only did it show up within a minute, it was darker than the control line. Like I have all of the COVID. Like there might be multiple variants living in me right now. Like it's.
They all were like, let's go to Astra. She's ready.
Every single COVID. I have so much COVID right now. It's really bad. By the way, that's not just me making jokes. Scientifically, the darker your line is, the more virus you have, according to the article Nova looked up. So it's not just like test by test. It is, I have all the COVID. Okay, Marcia suggested that we say something about the misguided anti-vaxxers who have had COVID and now claim they are immune. Okay, little soapbox moment. Getting COVID does provide a little bit of immunity. However, it does not provide lasting immunity. The vaccines, specifically Pfizer and Moderna, the data on J&J isn't great. Like it's just not as effective and not enough people got it to have good data for it. Which is why I'm really glad that we didn't go into J&J in the vaccines video, because turns out it wasn't as good. But the Pfizer and Moderna, 2 shots of that does give you more immunity than just having COVID. Having COVID is like getting a booster for about 90 days. According to the CDC. Having a booster works a lot longer. And obviously having your first 2 shots, please everybody just get your first 2 shots. Having COVID after you get your first 2 shots, we are seeing science happen in real time.
Drag them, Astra. Drag them.
But getting COVID might be a reason to delay getting a booster. However, It is not the same as getting a booster. The CDC basically says it gives you the same immunity as getting a booster would, like, assuming you've already had your 2 shots. It does nothing compared to your 2 shots. It's like getting a booster, but only for 90 days, whereas the booster can last for several months. Now, COVID-19 immunity from the shots, from the boosters, does wane. That's why we're all having, like, we're going to all get a 4th booster soon. It's...
Don't hold back.
What?
Go in on them.
The vaccine works. The boosters work. And it is important to know that we are getting boosters not because COVID is getting stronger. COVID is getting a lot more transmissible. Like, you are a lot more likely to get COVID now than you were a year ago.
COVID is leveling up.
Yeah.
All the transmission stuff, like, COVID is like going through those DNA points.
However, the main reason we're getting more boosters isn't because of that. That is happening. COVID is becoming more transmissible. However, we are getting more boosters because immunity does wane over time. Think of it like you take a kickboxing class to beat the shit out of COVID, and 4 months later, you haven't worked out. You're still better than if you hadn't taken that kickboxing class, but, like, you should take a kickboxing class every few months, you know? Oh my God, her little periscope. Her little periscope tail. It's just like, hello, I'm just gonna look around. It's so cute. Oh,
truly, she is blessing us with her presence on this live stream.
Yep. Oh, good night, Vince. Thank you so much for coming. Robert Williams says, no bridges have collapsed around us. Oh, Joe had to go to urgent care for the test. Yeah, okay. Wait, Joe had a dislocated shoulder? What have I missed? What is this chat?
You were on your soapbox, so we had fun.
Oh my God. Also, yes, okay. So, if the vaccine kicked your ass, that is actually a good thing. It means your immune response was getting really, really hype to fight COVID. Also, good news, I apparently have a very strong immune system because I was showing symptoms well before I tested positive because my body was getting really hyped to fight COVID. However,
especially with that fake spider in the office, your body was like, absolutely not. I
hate spiders. Honestly, the spider metaphor is perfect because I am especially scared of spiders, and my body is just, it's taking like a baseball bat with a bunch of nails in it to this virus. And unfortunately, my body is also the scene of this murder. Also, like, although unfortunately it's not just my immune system, apparently the fever I'm running is evidence that I do just have a ton of virus in my system. It's not great. Oh,
it's levels of pain.
Yeah.
That's what Joe was talking about. That makes sense.
Yeah. Marcia says, what I will never understand is why someone who already got 2 shots would then decline to get the booster. You're already the most of the way. What's the problem?
Well, it's because they put microchips in the boosters, and why do we need one if we already have the vaccines that solved everything and COVID is not happening anymore? So, like, why even bother? Like, that's the nonsense logic that they use.
I gotta say, after getting my first 2 vaccines, I didn't get 5G, so why even try with the booster? Like, if they're not putting 5G microchips in the first 2 vaccines, why do I believe that the third one is going to give me superpowers?
Right? I was so excited for vaccine superpowers. Or at the very least, if they're going to put some sort of like tracking device in me that's not already my cell phone that I have on my person all the time and within
Wait,
reach.
this
most
has a
of the
GPS
time.
in it?
Well, no.
You
They
mean
don't track you. If
all
you
of my
say
Google
things
Maps
into your micro-
searches can be
Yeah,
tracked?
you know, they just somehow know. They like really just emotionally get you, and that's why
Yeah.
you get those targeted ads for stuff out of nowhere.
I'm actually kind of annoyed. My targeted ads are terrible. They think I'm a straight guy who has a cat.
If it makes you feel better, they think that Sam is a lesbian landlord. It sucks.
That's so funny.
But that's why we're the cutest lesbian couple, because Instagram was like, yes, you are a middle-aged woman who also likes women and also is looking to invest in property. That's exactly who you are. And he's like, yeah, that's who I am, a 25-year-old law student
Yeah.
who's renting.
So I'm gonna go on a ugly German
Do you have
Truths
a
asks,
19G?
well, now do you have 19G? Actually, I'm not supposed to tell you this, but I in fact have 20 Gs. Yeah.
Did you get that from a mix of the like different brands of boosters? Since like I'm only at 19G and I got my first two were Moderna and my second was Pfizer.
Yeah, so
my booster was
if
Pfizer.
you have the 3-peat Pfizer package, you get a 20th G. It comes, although it is really annoying because it comes as a rebate, so you have to like you get the mail and then you fill out the form and then you send it back in and you have to
I
answer a
definitely
call
recycled
survey.
anything that
Yeah,
was
see,
a rebate.
You may have gotten your 20th G as a, yeah, it's really an annoying process. So much bureaucracy. Marcia says, given how 5G interferes with aircraft navigation systems, the FDA required the drug companies to leave them out of the boosters now. Oh, that does make sense.
You do travel a lot, so
Yeah.
it makes sense why they wouldn't give it to you. I don't. So
Also,
I might still have
it's
it.
one thing to ask us all to put our phones on airplane mode, but like while you're sitting in the airport, you can't just like adjust the settings behind your ear.
That's a Black Mirror episode.
Yeah. Robert Williams says, as one of my pastimes is yelling at conspiracy theorists, a guy was on a stream talking about 5G doing all these things. I super chatted asking for him to calculate the wavelength from frequency. Okay. Honestly, that could be a really... Oh my god, that would be so dumb.
Oh my god, Marcia's at 25G from 4 Pfizer. I'm so jealous.
Oh my god. Queen Marcia, Pluto patron Marcia Remai hitting the 25G. Would not expect anything less. Or really fewer. Is it fewer Gs or less G?
Okay. Is there anyone who can let you upstairs?
This is a grammar question.
Yeah, is it less or fewer G?
Okay.
It would be fewer.
Yeah, because it's countable, but could you have like 25.5 G?
Probably. That seems like it's not a grammar question then.
Yeah.
So therefore, you're using numbers. I'm about to like go into anaphylactic shock if you keep using them.
Okay, in that case, I might as well use your anaphylaxis for good. And I'm gonna, is it all right if I go on like a nerdy data analysis tangent? Because I actually did a lot of research for statistics for this and ended up tossing a lot of it out. Because that's how I am when I'm sick. I do just a stupid amount of research and then decide it's all bunk.
Oh my god, nerd.
Yeah, anyway, so you may have been wondering, why am I using the New York State breakthrough case data? Well, one, it's because New York is kind of the front line of each new spike, and also their data was the easiest to find and parse, and they had the most data. But you could also look at Mayo Clinic's data, which showed that instead of 89% effective, apparently only 6 in every 10,000 hospitalizations due to COVID-19 were the result of a breakthrough infection. So now we're just gonna like talk about data analysis and how science happening in real time can be fun. So there's, oh no, someone get Eris help. So there's a huge gap between like 6 and 10,000 and like 11%, right? That gap in the data is often due sometimes to different data sets, but also to different methodologies, how you treat comorbidity and other fun data analysis issues. Basically, say a fully vaccinated child breaks their leg playing soccer and goes to the ER for a cast. They do get a COVID-19 test at the hospital, and the child tests positive for COVID-19. Despite having no COVID symptoms, that child has a breakthrough infection and is hospitalized. So do you count that as a COVID breakthrough hospitalization? Depends on the study. Now, say it's an 85-year-old with a previous heart condition, like pre-pandemic, who has a heart attack, goes to the ER, also tests positive for COVID-19, despite having only mild cold symptoms aside from the heart attack, is stabilized, discharged, and returned to their loving family. Nobody in these hypotheticals dies. Don't worry. They're all happy hypotheticals. Does that person count as a COVID hospitalization? Did COVID-19 contribute to the heart attack? We don't know. And in a simplified data set of millions of patients, these individual case details don't get much attention. So, also, does fully vaccinated include a booster? Depends on the study. What about a single shot? Is that treated as unvaccinated in the study? In most of the studies I looked at, one single shot was treated the same as completely unvaccinated, which it's not. So do you just have 4 different groups, like depending on your dose number? Also, what about J&J recipients? Does that count as 1 or 2 doses? All of these questions have been brought up, and there's a lot of debate in the scientific community right now about how we should do this data analysis. But I think it's important to understand that, first of all, our raw data isn't perfect. Like, Nova and I both reported our COVID-19 cases to our employers because we both work at universities, but not everyone reports a COVID test. Also, we were not lab confirmed because it wasn't worth it for us to take a PCR. So do we count in the numbers? We actually aren't sure. But also these data analysis differences and decisions can really affect things. So all of this to say, if we expect weekly updates on all of these statistics, we need to understand that these numbers aren't going to be perfect. They're a best guess based on what the statisticians thought was a fair way to treat the data set they had. So I looked at a ton of different studies, and the numbers ranged from 85% effective to close to 100% effective for the COVID-19 vaccines preventing hospitalizations. Overall, fully vaccinated is good. Boosted is better. 4 shots, if you can get your 4th one, gets you 25 Gs. What?
I also looked into a lot of data and studies, and they're all telling me that our food's here, so we might want to wrap this up soon.
Okay, we will switch to the part where we name vaccine horror tropes very soon, and then we can eat.
What? Get with the numbers?
Yeah. So also want to reiterate the time since your last booster matters, as does your individual immune system. Booster immunity wanes over time, so your immune system gets back out of shape. So for people in high-risk groups, or just if you are allowed to, the immunity does, if you're in a high-risk group or older, the immunity tends to wane faster. So if you're in a high-risk group and or have been approved for a 4th dose, get it. Also, because all of these are risk factors, they work much better on a population level than an individual. So like, it's not that everyone over a certain age, their immune system is just shot to shit. It means that overall, your immune system is more likely to benefit from a 4th dose if you are in a certain category. It is way cheaper and easier to just give the highest risk people a booster than just test everybody's individual immunity. That's why we're having multiple shots anyway. Like, it is cheaper to just give everyone more shots than it is to test your immunity after a single dose. Okay, let's check in with the chat, and then Eris is gonna take it away.
Are you worrying about food now? By all means.
Yeah, I am probably gonna mute myself and just come in for like silliness and
That's
roasting
fine.
you and checking in with the chat.
I laid down for all those numbers because I was like, my back hurts a little bit. I'm just gonna use this as comedic timing. It's perfect. Okay. So
I'll just check in with the chat.
Yeah, go for it.
Ugly German Truth says, what about 19 3/4 G? You get Wallan and Magical Wildless. Do you mean 9 3/4 G?
No, oh yeah, it might be.
Joe is
it's
telling
platform 9 3/4.
Yeah. Joe is telling me not to get into it with the anti-vaxxers. I try, but I am also very sick. So I make bad decisions. Also, did you just quote Palpatine?
That is my go-to now. I don't know why that's something that's just like become part of my normal vocabulary.
Why? You're like, use your anger. No.
Listen, we all know I would definitely be a Sith Lord. Or just like, I would probably be like, if I was a Jedi, I'd be an Anakin. Child murder included, probably. I know that's an awful thing to say, but good news, not having kids.
Moving away from child murder, because wow, this stream is off the rails. Joe says that in the state of Michigan, 87% of people in the ICU weren't vaxxed in October 2021.
Color me surprised.
Robert Williams is sassing you also for likely quoting Palpatine.
I think I've quoted Palpatine at least twice within the past 24 hours. Once on the stream, and then definitely a few times to Sam at some point.
Oh, Robert Williams with the throwback joke. Well, you know, 9G definitely kills you. I mean, fighter pilots can't tolerate more than like 6G at a time. So what's this 5G really doing to us? Which, I'm honestly upset that I didn't think of that joke first. I am really upset.
It's okay. I'm here for the ha-has. That's my job.
He just made a physics gravity expanse joke. And I didn't make it first, and now I just have to stare off into middle distance wondering if COVID-19 really is sapping everything from my brain. Okay, on to Eris's segment, and I'm gonna go on mute.
Sounds good. So, if y'all remember from our COVID video that came out last year, the link is in the chat again if you want to rewatch it for all of the horrifying images and my fun jokes. Haha, very funny. So in our vaccine video, we used a lot of like metaphors and descriptive imagery to kind of like paint the picture of what an mRNA vaccine does, mainly because as someone who facts, it helps me sort of like, at least for me as like a very visual artistic person, it helps me make connections essentially with like all these weird imagery, which is why all of our scripts that I write are batshit crazy, because that's my brain is literally rewired in comparison to everybody else's. My brain is not normal, I know this, and it's fun. It's a fun time for me, so I figured the internet needs to know this stuff, the strange things that happen in my head. But that's the house parody. So to kind of figure out like how best to describe what the sort of like scariness of a virus actually is, if you can't necessarily like connect with it as someone who hasn't gotten COVID, which is me, I was like, all right, let's do like scary things. And so we've as a reminder, we've already assigned a few. So COVID-19 is the giant scary spider in the office that Astra is currently battling in her body.
If you want to see the original source material for all of this, please check out our vaccines video. I'm about to link it in the chat.
I did it already, though. I linked it. I don't think I did a good job. All right.
I'll link it again.
This is why I shouldn't be left alone unsupervised. Okay, so we got COVID-19 as the giant spider. We have the flu as a scary clown. And then polio is the twins from The Shining. And then the last one that we actually gave like horror movie icon for, and I mean horror movie icon literally in this sense, is smallpox, which is a bloodied Oscar the Grouch after getting into an ice skating accident in the 1978 Sesame Street Christmas special. And just for clarification, that is real. That is a real fear of mine. I cannot listen to Feliz Navidad without thinking of Oscar the Grouch cut open by ice skates and bleeding onto an ice rink out of his trash can. So that's my childhood trauma. Cece, hello. Perfect timing. All right. So for those of you in the chat, we would like to know what scary thing that you would assign to measles. I'm going to read off some of the, or I'm going to read off the symptoms, and whatever like you feel comes to mind first is like the scary thing that causes these symptoms. Let us know in the chat. We need to come to a consensus on all of these tonight. So measles has high fever, rash, sometimes pneumonia, and death, and rarely swelling of the brain, which leads to hearing loss and or mental disabilities. So what horror icon comes to mind with the measles? Okay. Wait, but the creature in it was both a scary clown and a giant spider. So it's the same as the flu. Okay. I did not say that it was specifically the scary clown from It. I'll just say that. But if that is your interpretation of the metaphor, like by all means, like art is really just like a conversation, you know? Okay, so at least with measles, it's okay. So I'm very attracted to the details of sorry, Queen Marcia texted me. So yeah, I'm really attracted by the brain swelling and hearing loss that deals with like getting messed up in the brain. So when I
like
think
The
of
Quiet
that,
Place?
I haven't seen The Quiet Place, funny enough.
Neither have I, but I know
But
it's
I think
quiet.
it would be well, they're attracted by sound, so I'm thinking like, is there a horror movie that is like losing your hearing is part of it, you know?
Joe says it's hard to choose. He had it when he was 12. Oh, I'm so sorry, Joe.
I'm so sorry. This is another movie I haven't seen, Bird Box, the one where they have to blindfold their eyes and only use their sense of hearing to get through it.
Okay, that monster is terrifying. Like, they did such a good job. Ooh, Robert says zombies, maybe?
Ooh, yeah, because like your brain swells, so then
Yeah,
like
brains. I like that.
yeah. Okay. So, does everybody agree that measles are zombies? Can we get a group consensus?
I wrote it in the Google Docs.
Okay. I'll take that as official. I like zombies for that. Do we want to go on to mumps? My mumps. My lovely mumpy mumps. Okay, so sorry, I'm so sorry. Oh my god, this is how my brain functions. You know that Ain't No Holla Back Girl reel that I posted? That is the same train of thought here. I'm so sorry that I've done this.
Richard Courtney says shingles was way worse than the measles. It's literally like being burned at the stake. So, accused of being a witch or a witch?
As a witch.
Or witch hunts.
Oh, let's make it the Puritans.
Yeah, the Puritans.
that are doing the witch hunting. Funny story about shingles, and not shingles, it's the chickenpox. I got the chickenpox when I was in high school, And the older you get with the chickenpox, the worse it gets. It sucks. So I was sitting in bed for like 2 weeks in my parents' bedroom watching TV and trying to like figure out what I need to do for pre-calc because I was really bad at math, and I was in a class ahead too. So like I was in too advanced of a math class for too long in my life. So I was watching horror movies, a lot of like Silent Hill, paranormal horror movies too, because I was like, okay, let's look at people who are more miserable and are in active life or death situations. And you know what commercial kept coming on during the commercial breaks every single time? The shingles commercial. The one that says, if you've had the chickenpox, the shingles virus is already inside of you. And I was like, thanks. Don't tell me that while I'm actively having the chickenpox as a sophomore in high school.
Ooh, that's old to get the. Wait, were you not vaccinated for the chickenpox?
I have no idea. So my family is very bad about communicating medical stuff, to the point where I didn't know my dad was going in for heart surgery or like chemotherapy until like days before it was happening. Or like a day. So
I mean,
I have no idea what, like, I'm pretty confident I got the chickenpox vaccine, but I think because like once you get older, they may not like require it because they assumed you already got it at some point. I don't know. I got the chickenpox in high school and it sucked. And I have a distinct memory of one of the only people like messaging me during that time was Sam. Because we were working on a project together, and that was it.
I still think it is so adorable, and also just like a power move to be dating your high school crush.
Oh, it fully started as my ego going out of control. I went, this is my moment. I need to do this because I will feel powerful. And I did. And I still continue to feel powerful.
But he's
honestly,
like a really good guy.
Yeah, and I'm winning the long game at this point.
This is like, you meant this to be a one-night stand, and I gotta say, task failed successfully.
Yeah, I tried my best. I was my single queen phase, and it ended very quickly.
Also, Robert Williams can relate to your family. Apparently, Robert's dad went to the doctor, was told that he was having a minor stroke and needed to go to the emergency room. So him and Robert's mom stopped off at a deli on the way to the hospital.
That is absolutely something my family would do. 110%. I also was, so in the state of Illinois, edibles are legal. Weed is legalized. It's great. Having a fun time. So I was with my dad for one of his chemo sessions, and I went back with him and everything to keep him company. And like, of course he's cracking jokes with the nurses and just like being himself and getting like all like, he's always the most popular guy around nurses because he's just like a funny asshole, you know, who like does not poke beyond like a clear boundary. So we were in there, and I was like, I could have brought you edibles, like, since like weed does have like positive effects, especially if you're going through chemo. And he was like, what do you mean you could have done that? I was like, I texted you and mom last night if you wanted anything from the dispensary. And he just looked at me and he's like, I thought you meant the drugstore, like a Costco or like a Walgreens. I didn't realize you were referring to weed. I would have said yes. I would have said yes, I needed stuff, and I would have paid for it and like paid for whatever you were getting. Like, what do you mean? This was what that word means. And I'm like, wow, you are so old. That dispensary was a synonym for like your local drugstore.
I mean,
all right.
The reason they're called dispensaries is because the euphemism became a thing. Also, Richard Courtney says that he reminds us that in the 60s, mothers would have pox parties just to get it over with. And
I was never invited to those.
Yeah. And pre-chickenpox vaccine, I can see how that makes sense because the older you are when you get it, the worse it is.
It sucks as a teenager.
Like, getting chickenpox as an adult is so much worse than getting it as a kid. Like, that's a thing.
I think I still have a scar like right here on in between my eyebrows from the chickenpox. Like, I had like actual like pox marks all over my forehead, and I was already a kid with like bad acne, so this was just like 10 times worse, to the point where the dermatologist said the only thing that was going to be able to like actually fix the like gaping hole in my head was Botox. Good news is it's mostly healed and like you can barely notice it, but yeah, that was okay.
Let's move on to mumps.
Okay, so mumps involves fever, headaches, swollen salivary glands under the ears, and can cause inflammation of the testicles, ovaries, pancreas, brain, and or tissue covering the brain and spinal cord, aka I don't know how to pronounce that word, and deafness. Do you know how to pronounce that one?
Meningitis.
Oh, meningitis. I like saw itis and I was like, we're skipping that. Hold on.
Yeah, it's just meningitis.
Okay. Yeah, sometimes I see words like that and I panic because I've never seen it written out before, and I'm like, well, we're skipping. So what traits of that stick out to you the most in terms of like what calls to you? What like kind of creature calls to you based on those symptoms?
So we had some suggestions of we used zombies.
We got a little bit more specific with the ones that we actually did in the video, so like if y'all want to get specific with it, like by all means.
Does anybody have like a fear? Like, could measles be or could mumps be snakes? I don't like snakes. Ooh, Robert Williams says,
mumps off this motherfucking plane. Is that the quote?
Swelling like a blowfish. What do you think of like a blowfish?
I don't think blowfish are that scary, but like a deep sea like angler with like those crazy teeth.
Yeah, I like an anglerfish.
We can go aquatic with it.
Yeah, I like that.
And I'm sure there's probably some horrifying like movie about weird fish that might include like
Finding Nemo had an absolutely terrifying anglerfish in it.
Oh yeah, the one in Finding Nemo was scarring for sure.
Like I would not want to run in with that anglerfish. Here, let me copy paste that into the chat. Okay, the next one is rubella. Everyone in the chat come up with ideas for rubella while Eris reads the symptoms.
Okay, so rubella, rash, pink eye, discomfort, sometimes arthritis, and miscarriage or serious birth defects if a pregnant woman is infected. All right, I've got an idea for this. You know the in Alien, the one that pops out of the chest?
Oh.
Like, that is what I think of when I see those symptoms.
Ooh, yeah. So should I just write...
Or like one of those demon babies in the ones where like the pregnant lady is in a haunted house and like all of a sudden she's like birthing the Antichrist. Like those sort of like body horror ones I think goes well.
Okay, so rubella is the chest popping alien from Alien or Antichrist baby.
So for the vaccines that we're going through for the ones, were we just focusing on the mRNA ones? Oh, xenomorph's a good one. Are we just doing mRNA or were we doing other kinds of vaccines with these? Do you remember?
For these diseases, it's not just the mRNA vaccine. Like, most of these are regular, like, traditional vaccines. The mRNA vaccine is mostly, like, it's been around since the 80s, but, like, the most common use of it is for the COVID vaccine. So, like, most of these aren't. Okay.
Yeah, demonic possession. That's kind of like where I understand. It's like where the mumps are. Or rubella, rather.
I need to change this from chest popping alien to xenomorph.
Well, while you're doing that, do you want me to go through tetanus?
Yeah, tetanus.
Oh, hold on. Robert Williams came dressed for the occasion with a chest x-ray of a gestating xenomorph. Congratulations, Robert, for being in theme.
Congrats, Robert. You have rubella. Sorry. I didn't want to be the person who said this.
We can't diagnose people on the internet. That's irresponsible, Astra.
You mean we can't armchair diagnose people based on a joke in a chat? Oh, right, no. This is YouTube, not Reddit.
Exactly.
I need to go to Reddit to armchair diagnose people. You're right, Robert. I can't be sure, but you might want to get screened for rubella.
Or just, like, make sure that you're vaccinated for it.
Yeah, everybody... By the way, if we mention any of these diseases and you're wondering,
you're like, do I have the vaccine? You should go in and get the vaccine for it.
Yeah, you should get vaccinated for all of these. Okay, shall we move on to tetanus?
Yeah, let's go. And also, Richard, I don't know if Robert wins in this scenario. Does Robert win? If he gets his rubella out of it? All right. Tetanus. Painful muscle spasms, lockjaw, seizures, fever, difficulty breathing, pneumonia, pertussis?
Pertussis.
Pertussis. Pertussis. Which is whooping cough, vomiting, exhaustion, pneumonia, convulsions, slowed or stopped breathing, and brain disease. So I think this might be better for Richard's possessed demon one.
I was also thinking Richard's explosive decompression.
Okay. So my argument for a demon possession is with the muscle spasms and all that sort of stuff.
Ooh, yeah.
When you have like the little girl chained to the bed, like vomiting and turning her head all around, like that's what comes to me. Like demonically possessed child.
Yeah, okay. That's... Oh, wait. I realized that I didn't press enter enough. Pertussis is a whole different disease. Tetanus doesn't cause pertussis. That was an issue with my copy paste. I'm so sorry. In my defense, I have COVID.
Okay, so tetanus.
Yeah, so tetanus...
We can do demonic possession, and then pertussis, do we want to do the...
explosive decompression?
Yeah, would that fit?
Well, it's whooping cough, vomiting, exhaustion, pneumonia, convulsions, slow or stop breathing, and brain disease. That does sound like explosive decompression, sorta.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that works. It was a really good idea. Thank you for both of those, Richard. That was great. Perfect. Knocked two of them out in one.
Yeah.
All right. Diphtheria.
I love how we all assume these are like old diseases, but really it's just we don't remember them because we grew up when there were vaccinations. But these things, like if you're not vaccinated, can kill you. You're so bad.
Oh, I can read it out as if it's like old timey.
Yeah.
Diphtheria, which can create a gray membrane of dead cells blocking a child's windpipe, and was nicknamed the Strangling Angel, and can also damage the heart, cause paralysis, and kidney failure.
Yeah. So
I don't know what that voice was, but,
yeah.
You know.
So diphtheria, like, it would wipe out families. Like, there are stories of, I go into this in the vaccines video, but there are stories of, like, diphtheria just wiping out a town. Like, a family with 14 kids can't remember, like, there was a family that could not remember whether they had lost 14 or 13 children because, like, they had a huge family and 3 days later they don't. And, like, they were just like, you know, I'd be in shock if I lost either 13 or 14 children. But, like, you would get, like, it would wipe out just all of the children on a block. And it would do so very quickly. Like, healthy children would be dead, strangled by their own windpipe in, like, 2 or 3 days.
I feel like that one, the Monster from a Quiet Place, might work for.
Ooh.
Because you have to be, it, like, forces you to stop talking, because otherwise it'll get you. Kind of like how we had Bird Box for the one that, like, where you could only, like, hear things.
I like that.
Ooh, the Borg.
Ooh, I do like the Borg. Diphtheria as the Borg, just kind of coming in quickly and unexpectedly.
So I'm going to say something that is probably going to make a lot of our followers very angry and disappointed in me, but the Borg, which series is that from?
Next Gen, Voyager. It's also in Picard. It's in some of the movies.
So I don't think I got to the part where Borg appeared in Voyager, since I didn't necessarily watch the entire series.
You know 7 of 9? 7 of 9 is X-Borg. They show up at the end of season 3.
Okay.
In Scorpion. And then they're just, like, in every few episodes. And the Borg Queen is really hot, and I ship her and Captain Janeway because I have no shame.
That's very fair. We got another suggestion. Okay, so, Richard, I will say, voodoo spells is not technically correct. As someone who loves Nola and, like, witchcraft, the religion is referred to as voodoo. Voodoo does not exist. It's a white person name. If you were doing specifically, like, spell work, you would refer to it as hoodoo, because that's the actual, like, act of doing and performing spells in that religion. It also gets a super bad rep. Like, voodoo dolls are complete and utter bullshit. They were medical charts that you would, like, stick a needle in based on where the symptoms were happening. And as you treated it, you would move it around if need be to, like, cure a person. So, like, our sort of, like, Americanized and Westernized version, like, idea of what voodoo dolls are closer to the English and European poppet. So that's my little soapbox of it is voodoo, it is a legit religion, please. Like, let's treat it with the respect it deserves. And that's my short soapbox. But, like, I think some sort of, like, witchcraft or spell work, I mean, it makes sense for most diseases, because that's where a lot of early diagnosis went to was, oh, you're possessed by demons. Oh no, you've been cursed by a witch. So
yeah. So what about Haemophilus influenza type B?
All right, which can cause meningitis, pneumonia, and sepsis, and lead to hearing loss, mental disabilities, and physical disabilities. Oh, also, Richard, of course, I don't expect anyone in this chat to be up to date on their witchcraft, except for me. I am, as far as I'm aware, I'm the only witch that, like, participates in this channel.
Yeah, the rest of us are up to date on the Borg, specifically just all of Star Trek. And you are up to date on witchcraft.
Yep. All right. So, what are we thinking for?
Robert Williams says he kind of wants to hear Astra's Voyager Endgame fanfiction where Janeway goes back in time just to hook up with the Borg Queen. Okay.
We should add that.
I'm not saying that it exists, but I'm also not saying that it doesn't exist.
All right. Is it technically the bleeding flu? Since this isn't hemophilia, this is hemophilius.
Yeah, it's yes.
Okay.
I think it's the bleeding flu.
Okay. What are we thinking? I think having this sort of, like, know, sepsis, it feels like sepsis is something that would kill you before, like, the hearing loss, mental disabilities, and physical stuff.
Yeah, sepsis is real bad.
Oh, yeah. Listen, I've watched enough House. As you get if you get septic, that is a major issue.
Yeah. By the way, you keep bringing up House. I should clarify that this is all research for our big video after the quantum video. It's going to be all about neurology.
It's definitely not a justification for me going through like 5 seasons of House within a month.
This is going to be almost entirely an Eris project, in the way that Fat Phobia was very much my passion project. This House parody all about neuroscience. Eris is reading a book for this. She's watching 5 seasons of House for this.
I just took the book away from my little reading shelf and replaced it with Amelia's poetry book. But yeah, I've been going through Dr. Bessel van der Kolk's The Body Keeps the Score, which is all about how your brain chemistry and neurologically your brain gets rewired when you go through trauma and when you have mental illness. So it's not just a like chemical imbalance thing, it's also like your neural pathways and like the relationship between your parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system is like out of whack, and you can see that on brain scans. But no, back to bleeding flu.
Yeah.
So do you know of like a horror movie where it like descends very like quickly into something that's like more body horror? Or
think I don't watch horror movies because they make me scared. Fair. Like I got terrified watching Woman in Black. Like it's
barely horror. Okay.
Yep.
So I don't think this can be used for anyone else. Also Robert Williams. I did catch that in the reboot movies because that's what I was writing fan fiction of in middle school and high school. But yeah, Captain Kirk, canonically Thor's child. So, flesh-eating bacteria might work. Otherwise, Sam and I watched this really good horror film last weekend. I think it's called Malice or something like that, Malevolent. It's about this fake team of ghost hunters that goes into this haunted like mansion where these girls, it was like an all-girls private school, and when they would be too loud, like the schoolmistress's son sews their mouths up so they can't talk anymore. As punishment. And she's like, yeah, these girls like are haunting me now. Like, I just need you to get the screaming to stop. Please get them out. And turns out they're very real. And like the person faking their psychic abilities actually has them. And it's like, oh my God, these girls are trying to communicate to us. So it was like very much a like horror film that goes from paranormal to slasher, because it turns out they discovered that it wasn't just the like schoolmistress's son, it was the schoolmistress who was doing this, and she does it to like all the other people on the paranormal team. Like it turns very quickly from like paranormal horror into body horror very quickly.
Wow.
So I'm thinking horrible schoolmistress as
I'm writing flesh-eating schoolmistress.
Ooh,
that's
a nice combination. Like cannibal schoolmistress.
Yeah.
Idiots with flashlights. Okay, fact.
Okay, our last one is rotavirus. So, and then we'll wrap it up.
All right, so rotavirus used to be the cause of 40% of severe infant diarrhea cases and death by dehydration. This is literally dehydrating and not hydrating.
Speaking of dehydrating.
Yeah, don't dehydrate.
Okay. So we need one last. What's like a classic?
Tantalus.
Well, we did flesh-eating schoolmistress, so that.
Well, so I'm thinking like classic Greek mythology Tantalus, where he's trapped in Hades and he cannot drink any water because the water moves away from him, and he cannot eat the grapes above him because they keep getting moved away.
Ooh.
So he's forever hungry and thirsty as his punishment.
So, what should I call that?
Hold on, let me see, like, what was Tantalus doing? I don't remember how he got there, but I remember his punishment. One must imagine Sisyphus is happy. Okay, so he was rich, but a wicked king. So his crime was being Jeff Bezos. Oh, he was attempting to serve his own son at a feast for the gods.
Okay.
So this was cannibal school teacher tries to get the gods in on it, and then gets punished by said gods.
I'm just saying Tantalus / Jeff Bezos. That's what I got from this.
I know I can't say, so I'm just gonna say, for the lawyers out there from Amazon, this is a joke. I am kidding. I am completely joking when I say Jeff Bezos eats infants. It didn't. It's
We have
a joke.
no proof.
We have no proof. This is my opinion. This is my haha.
Okay, let's wrap it up and finish on that note. Wow, there's a lot of like dead kids. Actually, that makes sense. It's a video about why you should get vaccinated. So there should,
Especially because infants who cannot get vaccinated are at the highest risk.
yeah.
Along with people who can't get vaccinated for autoimmune or like
Yeah.
various health condition reasons.
Everybody, vaccinate your children. Otherwise, they could die from all of these preventable diseases. Yay! Not dead kids.
Prevent your kids from dying from the anglerfish.
Yeah. Okay, so wrapping this up, if you have any concerns about specific vaccines, about your or our government's response to the pandemic, etc., we can chat some other time, or you can go watch our vaccines deep dive. Seriously, go watch the vaccines deep dive. We did so much research for it. But I isolated for a year of my life, dealt with constant cancellations and postponements for another year, postponed my wedding twice, watched people I care about lose loved ones to COVID, and now my wife and I are sick, mainly because of COVID deniers, anti-maskers, anti-vaxxers, uneven vaccine availability, relaxed restrictions due to corporate lobbying, and just a bunch of other late-stage capitalist bullshit, which has allowed this virus to continue spreading and mutating. If you're not vaccinated, the company you run isn't offering paid sick leave, you don't think essential workers deserve a living wage, or you don't think healthcare should be free, congrats, you're part of the problem. And next week, the baking live stream, which will be a lot more fun, pending 2 negative tests, no more symptoms, and Eris, of course, being comfortable with coming over, we'll just be a lot happier. Next week should be a lot more happy and fun. We're going to talk about the science of baking. We're going to do some really fun physical comedy. We're going to make brownies. It's going to be so fun.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it. But if it can't happen next week for whatever reason, it'll probably end up going up in May because I got a move to worry about. I'm moving locations.
Yeah.
It's going to be so exciting. And if you see me on Zoom with Astra again, it's going to look exactly like this still. It's not going to feel like a move to anybody except for me.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Cece out. Bye.
Oh, hold on. Let me grab Cleo. Oop, she's mad.
Bye. Bye, everybody.
Napping and now she hates
Bye,
me.
everybody. I love you. I love you so much. The silly people in the computer mommy talks to. Bye. Cleo just looks so pissed.
Oh, I woke her up from a nap for this, and she's growling actively.
Oh.